On December 11, 1941, Adolf Hitler declared war on the United States of America. This was not a response to an attack. It was not required by treaty. It was not forced by circumstance. It was a deliberate political decision, and it removed every constraint on American power. Pearl Harbor brought the United States into war with Japan. Hitler's declaration 4 days later brought America into total war against Germany. That difference decided the outcome of the Second World War. Before December 11th, the American people were divided. Congress was divided. Roosevelt could aid Britain, but he could not commit ground forces to Europe without splitting the nation. After December 11th, none of that mattered. Hitler unified the United States in a way Roosevelt never could have. He handed the president unrestricted authority to wage industrial war on a scale Germany could not match. He guaranteed that American factories, manpower, and resources would be directed against the Third Reich until it was destroyed. This was not inevitable. This was a choice, and it sealed Germany's fate. If you want serious history that holds leaders accountable for their decisions, consider subscribing to this channel. In 1940 and 1941, the United States was not prepared for total war. More importantly, it was not politically willing to wage it. Isolationism was mainstream. The America First Committee attracted hundreds of thousands of members. Its argument was simple: Europe's wars were not America's responsibility. Congress reflected this division. In August 1941, the House of Representatives extended the military draft by a single vote. That is how narrow the margin was for maintaining even peacetime conscription. President Roosevelt understood the Nazi threat. He provided material support to Britain through Lend-Lease. He authorized naval patrols in the Atlantic, but he could not declare war on Germany. He did not have the political capital. The country would not follow him. Roosevelt needed a clear threat to justify full-scale war. He did not have it. Not in 1940, not in 1941, not even after German U-boats sank American ships. Then Japan attacked Pearl Harbor. The attack on Pearl Harbor changed American politics overnight. Congress declared war on Japan with only one dissenting vote. The isolationist movement collapsed. But war with Japan was not the same as total war against Nazi Germany. Japan had attacked American territory. The declaration of war against Japan was a direct response. It was legally and politically straightforward. Germany had not attacked the United States. There was no immediate German threat to American soil. Declaring war on Germany required a separate political decision. There was no guarantee Congress would approve it. Isolationists would have argued that Germany had not attacked America and that the focus should remain on Japan. This debate never happened because Adolf Hitler removed the question entirely. On December 11, 1941, Adolf Hitler declared war on the United States. He was not required to do this. Germany's alliance with Japan was a defensive pact. It obligated Germany to support Japan only if Japan were attacked. Japan had launched the attack on Pearl Harbor. Germany owed Japan nothing. Hitler declared war anyway. His reasoning was based on flawed assumptions. First, he believed the United States was already effectively at war with Germany in the Atlantic. He saw the formal declaration as merely acknowledging reality. Second, he believed America was weak and divided. He had watched political debates over Lend-Lease and conscription. He assumed that division would continue. Third, he believed Japan would tie down American resources in the Pacific, preventing concentration against Germany. Fourth, he underestimated American industrial capacity. Hitler did not grasp the scale of American manufacturing or how quickly the United States could convert civilian production to military output. Every assumption was wrong. The declaration unified the United States instantly. It removed every political obstacle to total mobilization. It gave Roosevelt the mandate to prioritize the European theater, and it ensured the full weight of American industry would be directed against Nazi Germany. The German declaration reached Washington on the morning of December 11th. Roosevelt addressed Congress that same day. There was no debate. The vote to declare war on Germany and Italy passed unanimously in the Senate and with only 3 dissenting votes in the House. Isolationism was finished. The America First Committee dissolved. Critics of intervention went silent. Roosevelt now had unrestricted authority. Congress approved military budgets without hesitation. Industrial mobilization accelerated. The draft expanded. The declaration also resolved the strategic debate. There would be no Pacific First strategy. The decision to prioritize Germany was made immediately and never questioned. This clarity allowed long-term planning. The United States could commit to building forces needed to invade Europe. It could promise Britain and the Soviet Union that American ground forces would eventually open a second front. None of this would have been possible if Hitler had not declared war. Roosevelt would have faced months or years of political struggle to justify sending soldiers to Europe. Hitler eliminated that problem. He unified the country and gave Roosevelt total political freedom. American mobilization after December 11, 1941, exceeded anything Germany could match. In 1942, American factories produced 47,000 aircraft. In 1944, that number reached 96,000. Germany's peak production was 40,000 aircraft in a single year. American shipyards launched over 2,700 Liberty ships during the war. They were built in an average of 42 days. By 1943, American production replaced shipping losses faster than German U-boats could sink them. The United States produced nearly 90,000 tanks during the war. Germany produced approximately 67,000. The United States mobilized over 16 million people into military service while maintaining a civilian economy that functioned at a higher level than Germany's. This mobilization required political unity. Hitler's declaration provided it. It required public willingness to accept sacrifice. The declaration guaranteed it. It required massive congressional appropriations. Congress delivered them without hesitation after December 11th. Germany could not compete. Hitler had declared war on a country with twice Germany's population, vastly greater industrial capacity, and access to resources Germany could never match. And he did so while already fighting the Soviet Union and Britain. Hitler's declaration guaranteed Nazi Germany would face an enemy capable of sustaining unlimited military operations until Germany was destroyed. The Soviet Union bore the primary burden of fighting the Wehrmacht. But the Soviet Union could sustain that effort only because American Lend-Lease provided trucks, locomotives, fuel, and food. Over 400,000 American trucks kept Soviet logistics functioning. Britain could not have continued strategic bombing without American support. By 1944, American forces were dropping more tonnage on German targets than the Royal Air Force. The invasion of Europe required American shipping, landing craft, and logistical infrastructure. Operation Overlord was the largest amphibious operation in history, commanded by an American general and executed by armies that included over 1 million American troops. None of this would have happened if Hitler had not declared war. Roosevelt might eventually have maneuvered the country into war with Germany, but it would have taken time and faced political resistance. Hitler gave it to Roosevelt for free. He removed every obstacle and set a timeline for Germany's destruction that began on December 11, 1941. If Hitler had kept the United States neutral, he might have forced a stalemate in Europe. The Soviet Union might have been bled to exhaustion. Britain might have negotiated. Instead, Germany faced an enemy that would never stop, an enemy that could replace every loss and sustain operations indefinitely, an enemy whose industrial base was untouchable and whose manpower reserves were effectively infinite compared to Germany's. Hitler made that enemy. The decision Adolf Hitler made on December 11, 1941, was not forced by circumstance. It was not required by alliance. It was not inevitable. It was a choice. Hitler believed he was formalizing a conflict that already existed. He believed the United States was weak and divided. He believed Japan would distract American power. He believed German submarines could strangle American logistics. He was wrong on every count. The Declaration unified the United States in a way no American politician could have achieved. It gave Roosevelt total authority to mobilize the nation. It removed every political constraint on American military expansion. It guaranteed American industrial capacity would be directed entirely toward destroying Nazi Germany. Germany could not win after December 11, 1941. The war would continue for 3.5 more years. Millions more would die. But the outcome was decided the moment Hitler declared war on the United States. This is not a moral judgment. This is a factual assessment. Hitler made a decision based on flawed assumptions and a fundamental misunderstanding of American power. That decision removed any possibility of German victory. Responsibility for that decision rests with Adolf Hitler. Not fate, not historical inevitability. A man made a choice, and that choice determined the outcome of the war. That is the historical record. That is the verdict.